I'm going to take a life stages approach to talking about preparing for an energized retirement. And I'm going to go through the different decades, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, so there's something for everybody here. When you're in your 20s, you have more of something than anybody else in this room, and that is time. Because you have more time, you have the opportunity to take advantage of something that Albert Einstein is said to have called the eighth wonder of the world, and that is compounding. Michael, Jennifer, and Sam are triplets. They all save $1,000 per month for 10 years. They get the same rate of return. The only difference is when they start and when they end. Michael, early adopter, he saves from age 25 to 35. Jennifer starts when he ends. She goes 35 to 45. Sam, late to the races, he starts 45, goes to age 55. So at age 65, how much do they have? Well, Michael, and they've all added the same amount of money. Michael has $1.4 million. Jennifer has about $700,000. And Sam started a bit later. He has around $350,000. So they did the same thing. It's just when they started. That's the power of time and compounding. Moving on to our 30s. Okay, welcome to your 30s. You now have a favorite reusable shopping bag, and you've discovered the joys of easy listening radio. So, a lot of people at this point buy a home because got a growing income, might have a growing family, might be upsizing a home, or maybe you just want one. And a home can be a fantastic investment. And if you buy a house that you can afford, that allows you to afford all the things in the home and all the things involved in running the home and everything else you've got in your life, then you've done well. You've got stability, you don't have any debt, and you've got security of owning a home. However, if you buy too much home, it becomes a burden. You've got equity in your home, but maybe you're even accumulating debt because there's so many expenses involved in the home. Not saying anyone shouldn't buy a home, but it can become a burden. So what should people do? Well, my recommendation is doing a real deep dive into the cash flow. Like, what does your cash flow look like with this home, or if you're upsizing with this newer, bigger, more expensive home? And this involves looking at not just the mortgage, but property taxes, property insurance, repairs, maintenance, upgrades, gardening, everything. And if you can get by, and if the numbers work on paper, then you're all set. Go for it. But if the numbers don't work on paper, they're not going to work in real life. That's why doing a careful analysis of how much home you buy is super important. On to our 40s, where every text message sent after 8 p.m. starts with, "Sorry, I know it's late." In our 40s, we might be making more money than we've ever made before, and that's fantastic. But one thing that can trip us up at this point in our lives and careers and on our journey is falling trap to something called lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation refers to wanting or needing more or more expensive stuff as we make more money. It is the number one enemy to becoming wealthy. If we're not on the horse by our 40s, it's time to start looking at what we can do for an energized retirement. The 50s. The question that most people ask when they want to figure out, okay, am I on track and when can I retire? Like, I want to retire by 60 or 63 or 65 or whatever it might be. But that's actually not the right question. George Foreman said, the question is not at what age I want to retire, it's at what income. He was spot on. So how do you figure all this stuff out? Well, first of all, you want to figure out how do we want to spend our retirement? And it's a great conversation with, if you've got a spouse or partner, you can do it, or doing it yourself. What do we want to do? Like, once we have an idea of how we want to spend our time, we can then talk about what are our income sources. Okay, like, let's lay all our cards on the table, because I've found that not every couple knows what the other person has. They've kept finances separate. So let's see what you got. Now you've got how much we want to spend, where it's going to come from, and how much income each of these sources is going to provide. Okay, great. Figured that all out. Now we know, are we on track or not? Like, are we on track to retire by age X with the amount of money that we want? There is nothing anywhere that says you have to slow down or stop work when you're 60 or 65 or even ever. But I always recommend people be financially and emotionally ready to stop working in and around this time. That's because there's various reasons that people quit working or stop working earlier than they had planned. The three most common reasons statistically are company downsizing, having to take care of a loved one, or health reasons. And these things can come on at any time. So, best to be prepared financially and emotionally. So there's lots of things we can be doing to plan for an energized retirement. And here's an idea for people who are getting closer to retirement or maybe a couple years off. Keep a notepad or a notes app on your phone with you and jot down any ideas that come to you, anything that past hobby that you did or past interest or maybe something a friend's talking about. There's so many things. You can take a course at a community center, go to the pub for a drink with some friends, or go for coffee, or have your grandkids teach you how to play Fortnite. Keeping this list, you'll end up with dozens and dozens of things that will bring you joy, purpose, social contact, and maybe just plain old fun.